Hey everyone, how we doing tonight? I know it's a bit late, and it's gonna get late soon, so I figured tonight before I go to bed I'd make a poem video just to close tonight. Yeah, tonight I just came from a poetry event up in Manchester on Main Street. Yep, it was held at the famous art studio known as Workspace, where they showcased all the paintings by those that happen to be artists, including myself. I have some paintings over there that I have done before, and they were put in the Loop Gallery, which represents Workspace very much. So, if you ever want to visit Workspace and check out the paintings that are always selling done by the artists that are given the opportunity to do paintings on any theme that they come across, you're more welcome to check out the place. It's very magnificent and wonderful. Not only magnificent and wonderful, but tremendous as ever. I go there all the time just to get away from dealing with everyday life. I mean, seriously. Plus, art and poetry are my favorite concepts, so you always know with me, art and painting as ever, art and poetry as ever. So yeah. Tonight I just came from Workspace's poetry event. I mean, I was one of the performers that read one of my. I was one of the performers that was reading. I was one of the performers that read my poem that read a poem tonight at the event. My poem is based on what I've read before. My poem that I have read before, especially on this YouTube channel that I have made. Yeah, it was on Ukraine. That's been through so much in the last year, with Russia coming after the country with an invasion, and millions of fellows, especially all the loves and individuals that lived in Ukraine, had to fled their home because of Russia's invading nonsense. And then next thing you know, everything is changing with Russia still continuing on the nonsense that no one saw coming, especially coming from someone that happens to be responsible for the nonsense. I would say his name, but I'd rather just leave. I'd rather just say you know who is responsible for the nonsense, so you know where this is going. So yeah. At the poetry event tonight, I got into character mode before it was time to get on the stage. Yep, I was also on stage performing with my poem. Yeah, I had my flags with me, which is why tonight's poem is going to be which is why tonight's poem is definitely going to be on what I love doing as ever. So before I get into that, let me tell you about what I did tonight at the event. I read a poem on Ukraine, and I had a flag of it with me to get into character mode before it was time to get on stage. Yep. And as I got on stage, I had my poem out, and I got into character along with the flag with me, the flag of Ukraine behind me. So, yeah, actually, got the flag of Ukraine behind me as I held it high after reading the poem on it, and I couldn't forget everyone. Everyone was just amazed by what they just saw from me, especially when it came to hearing me read the poem about Ukraine. So, I mean, why am I keep saying so? So I say, yeah, it was magnificent, wonderful, and tremendous, and I was so glad that we got to have a poetry event. I mean, I went to a poetry event before. It was last year in the summertime. I didn't perform, but I got to go there because a lot of people were performing there as ever. And then tonight, this time in the new year, I got to go perform on stage as one of the performers with my poem that I had with me, along with the flag that was on the country that I read about as a poem. So yeah, tonight was magnificent and tremendous. I'm glad I got to go there as ever. Yep. A lot of people got to perform on stage too. Even a couple that came in. I mean, actually, why am I saying a couple? Even some that came in as the show continued on, they got up on stage and read a little piece that they had written down before, and then there were others who read poems too that were magnificent and tremendous. So yeah, tonight was a wonderful night. I'm not glad I got to go there. Yeah, I brought two poems with me. I could only read one. That's how it goes. So we can give others time on stage to do their performances, which is good because we don't want to waste no one's time. Yeah, so it was nice to have the poem that I read about Ukraine and actually have the flag with it along with me, and again the character mode, which is why tonight's poem I'm going to tell you more about that, which I will get into in a few minutes. So to tell you this, If you ever want to come down to Workspace and see the magnificent events they do, they are in Manchester, Connecticut. They're on Main Street. I believe the address is 903 Main Street in Manchester, Connecticut. I pass by there all the time as I take the A3 going to either the mall or coming back from the mall, finding myself back on Forbes on Silver Lane, which is stops by as you see CVS or the whole Forbes Street, Silver Lane territory, street territory. So yeah, which is where the 91 passes by as ever. So yeah. So yeah, but tonight was tremendous. Everybody performed really good. Everybody performed so good, and it was just, I mean, this was what I loved about our Workspace. And I've been going, and I go there all the time, not only because I'm with my paintings, but also with poetry. Art and poetry, like I said, my favorite concepts to love and embrace, and I can never get enough of it as ever. So this was wonderful. Tonight was wonderful to do as ever. So yeah, I'm glad I got to go there. Alright, after done talking about tonight's performance, let's get into what's tonight's poem going to be on. Tonight's poem is based on what I love doing all the time, especially when it comes to learning culture, heritage, and character that you get into. Especially something that relates to a country very much. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna tell you this right now, so I'm gonna cut straight to the chase. I have a flag collection, and actually I'm gonna say it like this. I'm gonna get to it right now. I have a flag collection, and I collect all flags from around the globe. I mean, to tell you the truth, you all know me, I watch the BBC World News all the time, every day, every morning, every day, every morning, afternoon, every night. So, every night, I like to learn culture, I like to learn countries from around the world. Let's put it like that. I like to learn cultures from around. I like to learn everything from around the world, so you can know more about the countries that you see right in front of you. As the BBC World News reports the news of what's going on in today's global matters, and I always love how you can just learn about this country, especially if you don't know this. In the background, I've got two maps behind me. One where it's all global with all countries from around the globe, and the other is on the United States of America. So yeah. And to tell you this, I love learning world history, especially social studies. I've been a fan of social studies and world history since I was growing up. You learn so much you learn a lot about everything from the globe. You learn everything from around the globe as you learn about countries, culture, heritage, and characters of something that represents a country very much as ever. So yeah, tonight's poem, I'm going to tell you this now, is based on what I collect as a collection, and I love this collection so much. This reminds me how it all began, especially when I was going to the Big E every September, going to this amazing shop where they sell all these phenomenal country symbols that represents a country very much. Yeah. So tonight's poem is based on my collection of flags and how I get into character with them the second I have one with me, which is where I blend in as character from a country. As I blend in with somebody that's from a country, put myself in their shoes to see what it's like, see what's going on in everyday life. To represent what's going on in everyday life. Let's put it like that. To represent what goes on in everyday life. So yeah. So tonight's poem is on a poem that I wrote about where flags help you learn and come across culture, heritage, and characterism. So get ready as I pull out my poem. Hang tight. Sorry, just clear my throat. I got it with me, so yeah. Alright, my friends, this is my new poem, and I was able to write this up on my laptop this week, so here we go as I put it together. The name of this poem for tonight's poem video, by the way, this is 203 of my poem video, so 203 at your service, yeah. Tonight's poem on this poem video, that's what I meant to say. Tonight's poem on this poem video, yeah. The name of this poem I'm about to read to you is called Flag Character. Here I go as I read to you all, my friends. So here I go as I read to you all loves. Flag Character by Denzel. When I have a flag, in my hand. I picture myself in a wonderful land. Flags help me find a character to exist while searching through my list. The second I wrap myself a flag around, there is a moment of me standing on the ground. Culture is a huge part of the world to adore, as I get a chance to explore. Any flag of a country I will find, you will see an existing memory in your mind. The culture is never gone as you blend. There is time for a country to be restored and mend. You can feel a country's great pride while standing by its side. I picture myself with paint on my creative face. I repeat, my creative face, yeah. Representing any global country with very full embrace. The globe is my landscape to come across. I will never have all my flags being tossed. Every character comes with a flag. The minute I pull one out of my special bag, culture and heritage will never fade, because I am the main reason we come together being culturally, I repeat, culturally made. Alright? And you will see a picture at the end of this. Blend in with a flag. Blend in with a flag to experience heritage, culture, and character. Alright, my friends, get ready as I show you a globe that has all flags representing the entire world. Yes, the entire global planet. Prepare to be amazed. Ta-da. I'm going to hold this up for a few minutes until it's time to wrap this up, so y'all can get a glimpse of this at the end of this poem. I'll hold this up for a few more minutes, and then it'll be time to wrap this up. Five, 4, 3, 2. Okay, my friends, there you have it. That was the poem on tonight's poem video of 203, with the poem called Flag Character. And let me tell you this, I'm so glad that I'm not gonna lie. Collecting flags is phenomenal, tremendous, and wonderful, because you get to learn about countries from around the world. And the second you get to learn about, when you get to learn about countries from around the world, you get to know what it's like to come across two words that you pretty much heard before as you were growing up. Prepare to meet the great ultimate culture shock. Yes, culture shock. When you meet someone from a different background or country that they come from, you learn about their heritage, their culture, and the flag that represents their home very much. And to me, I always saw flags as something to come across when you're looking. I always saw something with flags the second you hold one in your hand and you start to develop a character coming out of you. You start to develop a character existing from you. I mean, that's what I always did, but that's what I always saw coming. That's what I always saw with my own eyes with flags coming. That's what I always saw as I came across flags that were just phenomenal to collect. I always, put it like this, I always saw this with flags the second I held one in my hand, just to come across a character coming out, just to come across a character existing from me. And flags have always played a very important part of representing not only a home country or home landscape, but you'll also learn the culture, the heritage, and the character that comes out of you. And flags they've always been a huge part of my collection. They've always been a huge part of my destination of developing character the second you hold one in your hand. like I did tonight with the Ukraine flag. I mean, reading the poem on Ukraine, then holding the flag of it held up, and then holding the flag of it high above high above my head was just felt like as if you could, how do I say this? You could relate what Ukraine is going through. You can just feel what Ukraine is going through, because I mean, last year it was going through so much when Russia's, you know what, was responsible for, especially the whole country of Russia was responsible for starting an invasion that the innocent country Ukraine wanted no part of. Only time will tell when Ukraine could be met. So, and for those that fled, I know they missed their home very much. And right now, they're living in safe. They're living in safest place. They're living in safe places to stay safe and protected, so no reckoning will ever come to ruin their destination. Yeah. So tonight's poem video 203 with my poem on my collection of flags and how I get into character with them, called Flag Character. Yes, like I said at the end of tonight's poem, blend in with a flag, blend in to experience culture. What was it? Oh yes, to experience heritage, culture, heritage, and character. You'll know what it's like to be in someone's shoes, coming from a different country and learning what they have as heritage, culture, and heritage, culture, and character. Yes, I've always loved holding a flag. I always love holding a flag in my hand to learn not only the culture and heritage, but also to develop character existing the second you are holding one over your head. As you are putting one over your head, or as you're holding it behind you. So yeah, it's always good to learn countries around the world, especially when you're watching the BBC World News. Actually, yeah, it's always good. It's always phenomenal and tremendous to learn about countries from around the world, especially when it comes to the globe as ever. So yeah, and like I said, social studies and world history have been my thing since I was growing up. So it's always good. My main trip out of the country someday is to go to Canada. I'm a huge fan of Canada. I mean, how did I get hooked up on Canada? Let's take a trip back to when I was a teenager. My grandmother had very old encyclopedia books. I remember looking through the C encyclopedia book. And the first country I came across was Canada. Canada very much. You learn so much about the country with Canadian Mounties and the wilderness and everything Canadian related. So yeah. My main trip to travel out the country someday is to go to Canada and see what it's like. I mean, it's an amazing country, especially with wonderful areas represented like Montreal, Quebec. Not to mention, there's a Quebec flag I would go for, but I gotta hold off on my gift card for now, so yeah. Plus, there's also other famous areas in Canada like Toronto, Ontario, Ottawa, which is the capital city of Canada. We have Edmonton, Alberta, Manitoba, Mississauga, Mississauga, something like that. That's an area in Canada too. Yeah, and last but not least, there's also Winnipeg. So there are multiple areas in Canada that's related to the home country. So yeah, there's even Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and Halifax. All those areas relate to Canada too. So yeah, you know where this is going. So other than that, yeah. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's poem video, especially on the poem that I read about my flag collection and how I develop character from them the second I hold a flag in my hand. So yeah, it's always wonderful to not only experience heritage and culture, but also develop character the second you hold a flag in your hand. So tonight's poem on this poem video was called Flag Character, and I'm very thrilled that I got to share this poem with you loves as ever. Not only do I have, if you wonder how many flags I have with me, I have a total of about 13. The first flag I got was an autism awareness flag, which I love very, very much, representing autism awareness. And then we have an Ireland flag. I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to wait until March when St. Patty's Day was on the horizon, but I was like, I'm just gonna get my Ireland flag. And this week it came, the second I ordered it, I was like, my Ireland flag's here. Hello. So I'll be prepared when St. Patrick's Day comes as we arrive in March later this year. So other than that, I just want to say to you loves, thank you for your time to enjoy this poem video. This was 203, my poem video 203, and I will see you all next time. I will see you all next time when I make the next poem video. I will be making 204, and if you wonder what my next poem will be, you will have to stay tuned and find out as I try to put the next one together. So enjoy 203 if you ever want to watch this again, and I say have a good night, take care, and also have a wonderful weekend as we approach Friday tomorrow. So I say this early, or even though today was today, so I say, as people would say, happy Friday Eve, and I will say happy Friday come tomorrow. Take care, my friends, and have a tremendous night.